Welcome back to Tone's Caribbean Buddy, everyone. And today it's a special occasion. We are celebrating 6 months being on the platform. Woohoo! In today's session, I am going to be sharing with you a recipe, a cassava pone, that I'm sure everyone is already familiar with, but it never grows old, especially if done on the fireside. The first thing you ought to do when you decide to make a pone is to get your raw material, your ingredients, specifically your root crops, which include your sweet potatoes, cassava, pumpkin, and of course, coconut. And of course, to get these ingredients, if you don't grow them yourselves, a trip to the market, your local market, will be the first place that you visit. Take a look with me. So now that we have everything that we need, we're about to start making our cassava pone. Of course, sweet potato is needed for that extra bit of texture, and cassava will form the major part of the ingredients list. Of course, you peel all your ground provision and your pumpkin, and after you've peeled and washed, just simply grate using an old-time grater. Now, this is the part that most people absolutely hate, but hey, if you find another way to get that texture from your ground provision, then by all means, go right ahead. The next stage is to grate your coconut in a separate bowl. This is to ensure that you can extract the milk from the coconut that is needed to add to your pone mixture. So now that we've completed all the grating part of the process, we now mix together our cassava, sweet potato, grated pumpkin in a bowl, ensuring that everything is mixed well. Then you add your coconut milk. My dad used a makeshift strainer. Can you believe that? He used the grater to strain the coconut milk. So the next stage is just simply to blend everything together, thoroughly mix it really well with your pot spoon, ensuring that everything is mixed in well and blended together perfectly. So the next stage is just simply to bind the pone together by adding certain ingredients. And here my dad loves to add a little bit of all-purpose flour that helps with the binding process of the pone, and then of course he flavors the pone with his spices. Now, over the past few weeks, there have been quite a lot of talk and a lot of conversation about root crop flowers. I've had the brilliant idea to try making pone using these flowers. So if it's something that you want to experiment with, by all means, try making your very own pone at home using root crop flour, cassava flour, sweet potato flour, pumpkin flour, if it's something that you want to try making. And if you want to know how to make pumpkin flour, I'm going to link my ebook down below in the description. You can head on right over to my website and check out the download. So here, as I mentioned before, my dad is flavoring the pone. You can pretty much be creative and add whatever you want here, right? So he adds milk, powdered milk. He adds cinnamon, cayenne pepper, ginger powder, and pretty much anything you can add that tickles your fancy. But as I said before, I am going to link the pone recipe down below in the description, and you can start from there if you've never made pone before. And of course, the last thing you add for sweetness is brown sugar. And once all those ingredients have been added, just simply take your pot spoon and stir really well to combine all the ingredients perfectly. Okay, so the very last thing that you add will be some butter, melted butter, for added flavor. This is optional, But of course, as I said before, making pone pretty much has to do with your own taste. So if you don't think you need to add butter, then you don't have to. So now that we've included all the ingredients that we need, we allow the pone to sit for a while and get the fireside ready. Now, fireside lighting is a tricky one, and it takes a little bit of practice to start the fire. And if you're interested in learning how to do this, I've also linked that video down below in the description. Check out that video, how to light a fireside. Ideally, the type of wood that you would use is bay leaf or any other type of hardwood. At the time when I made this video, which would have been at the beginning of the year, we had only glory cedar. By now you guys should know what is glory cedar, right? After all, we're in the Caribbean. Yes, so we used what we had, but after that we had a ready supply of bay leaf wood, which helps to sustain the fire for a longer period of time, ensuring that we don't have to keep changing the wood constantly because it keeps burning out. So to get the fire started, my dad packed some newspaper underneath the wood so that it lights a whole lot quicker and it gives the wood time to catch. And of course, where there is fire, there is Mathani, always ready to play. He's going to be called a fire baby soon enough because he's always playing around the fire. Mind you, I hope he doesn't wet the bed. Now, to help sustain the fire and to keep it burning, my dad usually puts smaller pieces of twigs, dry twigs, at the top just to feed the fire so that it doesn't out. So now we have a healthy fire below and the fire on top the tinning to start the baking process of the pone. And of course, the next part of the process is positioning the pot on top the fire to start the baking process of the pone. The pone mixture is already inside and we just place the fire on top to start the baking process. Now, the secret to getting the perfect pone on a fireside is sustaining the fire in both places. You don't need a heavy fire on top, neither below, because you don't want your pone to burn. So just keep an eye out for any heavy fire that may result and just space it out. And halfway through, you just ensure that everything is going smoothly and just turn the fire to suit. Now, halfway through the process, we got some visitors to share in our pone. After about 2 hours of a very low sustained heat, it's time for the test. And my dad is just simply inserting a knife to ensure that it's all done and it seems to be ready to eat. Now, hot fireside pone when you're eating is like being in heaven. It's the ultimate dream. And if you ever have the opportunity to make your own, it's even better. Thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe. See you next Wednesday.